How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be recapping UFC 308 Topuria vs. Holloway. Abu Dhabi gets yet another historic card, man. What a great card. I did pretty well on picks. I went 10-3, I think is what I went. I hit on some underdogs. But, missed on one big fight. We start with the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Ooh, this one didn't feel too good. Ilia he's gonna beat everybody. I don't see anybody beating Ilia Topuria after what happened this Saturday. Ilia looked really sharp, and here's the thing, Max looked pretty sharp too. Max was using some weapons that a lot of people were bringing up in the lead up to this fight. I brought up the knee stomps. Max Holloway doesn't usually use these, but he was using them beautifully against Ilia Topuria because Ilia is so heavy on that lead leg. Max was doing well in the boxing department too, but it's just the power difference, man. Ilia was coming close, even in the first round, to landing hard on good old Max Holloway. I thought in the first round, Max did a good job with the volume. I personally scored the first round to Max Holloway, even though Ilia did get the takedown, which, honestly, I thought Ilia was going to start doing that a lot more throughout the fight, was going for those double legs, because he got it pretty fucking easily. It's just he couldn't hold down Max. And also, it looked like Ilia, quote-unquote, knocked down or knocked Max off balance. It was literally just Max slipping from entering in a pocket exchange, which happened earlier in the round too, I want to say. It was like a Dricus Duplessis suit, like Captain Underpants type throw. Like Max didn't fully commit, but then he fully committed after not fully committing, you know what I mean? But it didn't matter. The second round, Ilia started to pick up the pace even more. So did Max, but Ilia was clearly landing the better shots, the bigger and better shots, which I said would happen. I said Ilia was going to have the bigger moments, but I thought Max Holloway's volume, and Max does land some good shots. I thought it was going to be too much, but Ilia won round two. I think Ilia he did more. He did better. He was cracking Max Holloway throughout the round. Ilia's leg kicks were really good throughout the fight. He didn't throw them as often as I thought he would, but when he threw them, he was tagging Max with them, and Max was kind of getting dainty on that lead leg. We go to round three. Max starts off pretty hot. Then I want to say about a minute 10 into the round, Ilia throws. He does what Kamaru did to Jorge Masvidal. He patted down technically that would be the backhand of Max, because Max was orthodox. He patted at the right hand of Max Holloway, forcing a counter shot from Max, and Ilia just layered up a beautiful right hand straight down the pipe and rocked the shit out of Max Holloway. It's the same thing. A lot of people don't throw this. I personally think it's one of the most devastating combinations you can throw, not because you're landing two punches, but because the left-hand paw immediately, enacts a response from the person you're doing it to. Even Jorge, when it happened to him, he tried to throw a counter shot, because you're like, oh, they're entering in, ugh, and then Ilia the sweat that poured off of Max Holloway's head, holy shit, he bounced his head. Max stumbles into the back of the cage. Ilia starts to throw combinations against the fence. And Ilia, like I said, Ilia against the fence is probably the most dangerous fighter in combat sports right now. If your back is against the fence and you're not in the center with Ilia Topuria, you're not going to have a good time. It's going to suck for you. You're going to have to circle out. Max really couldn't. Ilia starts to fucking throw a 12-punch combination on Max Holloway. Max circles out a little bit. You can still tell he's not fully there. Ilia goes at him again, misses another 3-punch combination. He lands a right hand at his neck or chest. And then Max Holloway backs up and he throws a knee. He tried to counter him with a knee. Ilia throws yet another 3-punch combination. He misses the first two. When Max is exiting the exchange, Ilia just clobbers him with a left hook, and down goes Max Holloway. The follow-up shots were super necessary, and Ilia Topuria knocked out Max Holloway. In my humble opinion, I think Ilia Topuria, after knocking out Max Holloway and Volkanovski in a single calendar year, I think that he's probably the fighter of the year. Now, he probably takes it over Alex Pereira. If you take away all the extremities of saving cards, because Ilia didn't save no cards, if you just look at the competition that both fighters faced and how they beat the guys that they beat him, I know fucking Alex also knocked out all three of his opponents, Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill, and Yuri Prochazka. Those guys don't stack up against, they don't even stack up close to Max Holloway or Volkanovski. Ilia knocked him out. He knocked out Max Holloway, guys. This is fucking nuts. This has never happened. And you could tell Max, like, he was hurt. He was hurt bad. Ilia's doing everything he says he's going to do now. He knocked out Volkanovski. He said he was going to be the first person to put out Max Holloway, and he did. He fucked him up. Like, even though, like, the rounds were, like, somewhat competitive, rounds 1 and 2 were somewhat competitive, you could tell Ilia was getting close, and he was pacing himself. He wasn't overthrowing a lot like he usually does. He did have a couple mishaps where he did overthrow when Max was exiting, and you could be like, I was watching, oh my god, Max is making a miss now. But then, nope, boom, right. And Max looked good, too. It's just Ilia was better. That's the sad thing, is like, here's the problem with Ilia Topuria. Whenever someone has the power he possesses, they're usually not great strikers. They usually just throw to throw. Like Ngannou earlier in his career, when he was just like, absolutely just like, clobbering people with not really technical punches. The problem with Ilia Topuria is he has the power, and he has the technique. He's Alex Pereira, essentially. Alex Pereira, he's so dangerous and good because not only does he have the power, he's got the technique to back it up too. And Ilia also, people don't understand, he has the takedown threat. He doesn't use his takedowns often, but people have to worry about it because if you don't know, Ilia Topuria's like first 7 wins in his career in MMA were all by submission. His original base of MMA was grappling. It's just now, for some reason, he has this brilliant boxing that he can put on showcase and knock out dudes like Max fucking Holloway with it. I don't know who beats him, man. I don't think Diego Lopez does it. I think Diego Lopez would gas himself out trying to finish Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria would clobber him. If Dan Ige is able to rock you, I know Dan Ige hits hard, which we'll talk about him later on, but I think Ilia Topuria would knock out Diego Lopez. I think he would knock the shit out of Movsar Evloev. I saw some people saying that Movsar Evloev might be the guy to do it. Fuck no. I've seen Movsar get rocked by jabs by Hakeem Dawodu. Ilia Topuria would rip that inbred's head off his shoulders. I don't know who beats him. Ilia Topuria, El Matador, is at right now, he should be above Jones on the pound per pound list. I don't care what Dana White thinks. Knocking out Max Holloway, dude, fuck off. Get him up there. We move to the co-main event. Robert Whitaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Oh boy. Well, we found out what the hardest competition at middleweight's like for Khamzat Chimaev. He ragdolled Robert Whitaker in this fight. He mauled him. He got hit twice. Khamzat looked really good, man. He was literally just like, he was waterboarding fucking Robert Whitaker in this fight, man. He was suffocating him so easily. Robert couldn't get up. At a certain point, Robert gave up on trying to get up. I swear to God, he literally gave up on fighting the grip. He literally just like accepted certain positions. He was like, well, I'm not going to get up now. He got up once because Khamzat tried to rush a position, tried to get to the back, slipped off, and Robert stood up, and then Khamzat immediately dove at his feet again and got him down. Khamzat broke his jaw, and after the fight, I think everyone's initial reaction was, why did Robert tap so fast? That photo of Robert's jaw, where his mandible is broken in that area, is disgusting. Here's the thing I didn't know. In the lead up, in the build up to this fight week, you know when they have the fighters do the filters and shit? Do you know the TikTok filter where it like removes the facial hair? According to Robert Whitaker, he's broken his jaw before and already had a plate there in his jaw. That's why he has the goatee, is to cover it up. That's what he said. So Khamzat Chimaev broke an already reinforced jaw with a metal plate and screws in it. That's no bueno, man. That's no bueno. Khamzat's strong as shit. And I said this. People don't understand this shit, man. Nobody grapples the way Khamzat does, dude. Nobody does. Nobody grapples the way Khamzat does, man. People think I'm joking when I say it. It's different when you grapple with him. It's different. Nobody wrestles the way he does. That's why he's so good. He's so fucking aggressive and explosive with his takedowns. People don't know how to react. Because you can't get anyone to train with that's like that. There's nobody else that does it like him. He's the only guy that's that explosive, that aggressive, and is also mad technical, dude. And the thing is, Khamzat was making mistakes against Robert Whitaker. It's just Robert couldn't do anything because he didn't know what to do in certain positions. He just was like, it was like overload for his brain. It was a brain overload. He was like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And then he got his fucking jaw crushed. That's fucked up. That's fucked up, man. Khamzat made Robert Whitaker look insanely easy. Gilbert did better. Kamaru did better. John Phillips fucking did better than Robert Whitaker did. That's crazy to say. Robert Whitaker, dude, a lot of people were picking Robert to win. The hype train's back on, fellas. I don't know how Khamzat does against fucking DDP. He beats Izzy, though. I know that. He beats Izzy. He beats Sean Strickland, I think. After that. Because I'll tell you what, Sean can get taken down. And when you get taken down by Khamzat, there's a little to no chance you're bouncing back up, especially in the first round. Especially in the first round, dude. And he's mad powerful on the feet. He can hit hard. Khamzat is a real thing. He is. And he just mauled the fuck out of Robert Whitaker. Robert, he'll probably be out for a year. He probably won't be back for a while. That's a rough injury. We'll probably see him back in 2026. If he fights again. Which he probably will. But that's not good. That's a fucked up thing. And Khamzat Chimaev, he's next for a title shot. I know they're going to do Strickland Duplessis. I get it. I'd like to see someone call out Khamzat, though. Someone call him out. I dare you. After that, I want to see a single middleweight call him out for a fight. I fucking dare him. Call him out. Nobody's going to fucking do it, dude. Dude, what would Khamzat have done to Paulo Costa? People are still, going into this fight week, people were still saying, I think Paulo Costa would have beat Khamzat Chimaev. You're fucking crazy. Paulo would have gotten fucking murdered by Khamzat. The Boars is a real deal. The hype train's back on. And, he killed everybody. We move to the featured fight. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rockit. Kind of how I thought the fight would play out. Alexander really just couldn't. He was on the back foot a large majority of the fight. He was looking for a head kick for a lot of the fight. Magomed just kind of stalked him down. Ate the leg kicks. Didn't really look that phased by it. Stood up with the whole time. Didn't even go for a single takedown. Looked pretty solid. It was an entertaining fight for the most part. There were some moments where it was just Magomed walking down Alexander and Alexander doing nothing. But Alexander would throw, and then as the rounds went on, rounds 2 and 3, he started to get clobbered by the left straight of Magomed Ankalaev, and he just kind of started to slow down, didn't look as explosive. I honestly scored the first round to Alexander Rockit, though, But rounds 2 and 3 are pretty clearly Magomed Ankalaev, for sure. And in the third round, Rockit went for like a wayward takedown attempt and ended up just getting himself pushed against the fence for like almost the rest of the fight. Good win for Magomed. He's probably next for the title. Not probably, he is next for the title. I don't care what anyone says. He's undeniable anymore. As huge of a fan I am of Alex, he needs to fight Magomed Ankalaev. He needs to. Because not only do I think that fight would be pretty solid, I do think Alex beats Magomed Ankalaev. I think he does. Because from this fight we've seen, I've been saying this, Magomed is a striker. That's what he does. That's what he is. He's mostly a fucking striker. He's a striker first. That's what he is. He will probably wrestle against Alex Pereira if he gets hurt. He will, but he'll stand with Alex because that's his mentality. He's mentally sound on the feet. He thinks he's good. Which he is. He is solid on the feet. He does look good. Alexander slowed down heavily just due to the pace and pressure of Magomed Ankalaev. He kind of just like got shut down a little bit. It was a good fight. Not as entertaining as I thought it was. I thought Alexander would make it a little bit more dangerous. I thought he would have exploded a lot more in the first couple of frames. The first 2 frames at least. Make Magomed worry a shit ton, put him on the back foot for the most part, but Alexander kind of just resorted to being on the back foot for a large portion of the fight. Which I get. At a certain point, it kind of seemed like Alexander kind of resorted or kind of just like gave up a little bit. But it is what it is. Magomed looked pretty solid. Alexander looked pretty solid too. Even though he lost, he had some moments where he was landing some stuff on Magomed. He countered pretty well. But yeah, Magomed Ankalaev is next for the light heavyweight title. For a title shot, he should. If it's not him, who else do you fucking give it to, bud? We move to Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. Very fun fight. Pretty fun fight. The first round, Dan Ige absolutely clobbered Lerone Murphy with a left hook and dropped him and won the round. For the most part in the first round, though, Lerone Murphy was kind of tagging up Dan Ige. Dan Ige was missing a lot of his shots, and Lerone Murphy was kind of tagging him up. He was more technical on the night. But Dan Ige, again, he has that equalizing power where he was able to just land. And then Lerone actually landed an elbow that cut him open. So the first round, up to the knockdown, was definitely Lerone's, but then the knockdown sealed it for Dan Ige. Rounds 2 and 3, Dan kind of just slowed down and didn't really look much of himself. It kind of was like a shell-like performance in round 2 and 3, where he wasn't throwing as much. He looked very slow. He got taken down quite a bit. He kind of just resorted to getting tagged up on the feet. He couldn't find his way on the inside. It's not something like I've seen from Dan Ige before. I mean, Dan Ige had better cardio against Diego Lopez, and he took that fight on 4 hours' notice. This fight, he slowed down way faster. And maybe you can attribute that to Lerone Murphy's pressure or his shot selection. Maybe his presence in the cage was a bit more, but I don't know how that would be because Diego Lopez's presence in the cage is nuts. But rounds 2, Lerone kind of just easily beat him. Round 3 was weird because they grappled for a large portion. They were rolling with each other, but then at the end of the round, Lerone Murphy got like the back of Dan Ige after like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of just rolling with each other. Lerone got the back and landed some good ground and pound. Got the round sealed for him. It was a good fight. Pretty solid fight. Lerone looked really good, man. Who do you give Lerone after a fight like that? I think you can give him a Josh Emmett. I think you could give him a Calvin Kattar. I think you could give him maybe Bryan's moving up to 155. You couldn't do that. Arnold won his last fight. Yeah, it's either Josh Emmett or a Calvin Kattar fight, which I think those two fights would be very good for Lerone Murphy. Josh Emmett, maybe not so much because now we've seen Lerone Murphy can get chinned bad. I mean, Dan Ige landed a left hook because Lerone overcommitted and just got absolutely... It was like a Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis knockdown where Lerone literally like overthrew so bad that he was so out of position that Dan Ige's left hook just landed perfectly on the chin. But, yeah. We move to the start of the main card. Shara Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. Shara Butin, man. Shara Butin, man. Shara looked pretty good. I liked his boxing combinations. Armen rocked him in the first round, though. Arman did clobber him with was it a left straight or right straight? I forget. But Chara's head bounced back. He was a little shaky, and then they clinched with each other. But besides that, man, Chara looked really good. His countering ability was very well. He was landing straight punches. His body shot selection was great. His kicks looked good as always. Chara is improving very well. Honestly, after that, I don't think he's really all that mid. I think Armen Petrosyan is heavily underrated as a fighter, because even though his record isn't the craziest, I know he's like 9-4 now, but Chara, I mean, Armen's beat some good guys. Like, he has a win over RoboCop. He has a win over Christian Leroy Duncan. He went to decision with Caio Borralho. Like, he was beating Caio on the feet. He was. That's good. He's a good fighter, Armen Petrosyan. But Chara was just a little too quick. The speed advantage you could clearly see with Chara, and also just the technique. The technique was way with Chara. Armen was a little overthrowing, overzealous in certain exchanges, and Chara was countering very well. Throughout the fight, he won the first round, probably. Round 2 was competitive, but Chara was just clearly outlanding Armen. But then in the last 10 seconds, Chara goes in with a spinning back fist, and then doubles it up by spinning the other way with another spinning back fist and lands it with the forearm, absolutely knocking out Armen Petrosyan. It was probably one of the sickest knockouts of the year, like technique-wise. That's fucking awesome. A double spinning back fist and you get a knockout with it? What the fuck is going on? That's awesome. Personally, that's up there with the Vinicius Oliveira Bernardo Sapai KO for me. That's my KO of the year. Is that one. This one's pretty fucking cool too. They're gonna give it to Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, just cause, oh, it's Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. Even though that knockout, it was very cool. Like, but it was just like a right overhand. Like, technique-wise, it wasn't really that stellar. This one was way cooler, like, with the technique that he did it with. But there's literally, like, no stakes in this fight, so it probably won't win. Char looked good, though, man. He's improving. Middleweight's kind of turning into a division where the newer blood is coming up, and then the older guys are kind of fizzling out now. But let me see if I can find a dude for Armen to fight. And not Armen. Armen's, we don't matchmake for losers around here. Unless they're in the main event, dude. Who could you give him? Ooh. I don't mind like an Andre Petroski fight with Chara. Andre Petroski, test that wrestling. Because Andre will wrestle with him. You could do like, who's the dude with the mullet? Is it Zachary Reese? Is that who that is? You could do Zach Reese. That would be a very fun fight. That'd be a really fucking fun fight. I mean, I was going to say Cesar Almeida, but he has a fight booked. Edmund Shabazian, maybe, for the striking. Just to see how that would go. You could do, like, Cedrique Dumas. You could do Adolfo Vieira, maybe. I want to see his grappling get tested. That's what I want out of Chara. I want to see how his grappling looks at, like, the middle level. I was going to say Joe Pyfer. I don't want to see that fight yet. I don't want to let them both build up on their own. Because I think Chara might get clobbered by a right overhand. And also, Joe would wrestle him, and his wrestling is pretty fucking solid. But great win for Chara. We move to the feature prelim. Ibo Aslan versus Raphael Sequeira. I mean, dude, what are we even doing, man? This fight wasn't even fucking close, dude. Wasn't even close. Raphael legit pissed himself in the cage. He got knocked out in under a minute. Ibo countered a leg kick from Raphael with a left hook, hit him on the temple, and Raphael literally, he was like, oh no. Hit his back against the fence, you could tell he was rocked, and then Ibo, like, unleashed a, 20-punch combination, landing almost every punch and rocking him with, a couple of them. Raphael got stopped in the first round. This was a guy, Raphael was a favorite against Ibo Aslan. He was a favorite. he was getting picked like hell by quite a few predictors on YouTube. And he got knocked out in the fucking first round. This was a guy I was actually looking forward to seeing. I picked Ibo Aslan, but I was like, I wonder how Raphael is going to do. Nope, he got knocked out in the fucking first round, dude. He sucks. He doesn't suck, but he kind of... I think the moment was way too big for the dude, even though he is a 34-year-old grown man. I think the moment was too big for the dude. He's fighting he was the featured prelim in his debut against Ibo Aslan, who's a heavy power puncher. Raphael threw one leg kick and then was done, dude. Great win from Ibo Aslan. Light heavyweight. Oh, man, what can we do with him? Light heavyweight. What are we thinking? Who's a guy slightly out of the rankings? Modestas Bukauskas or Marcin Prachniau, either one of those two. You could also do... You can do an Ivan Erslan fight. I think that fight would be pretty fucking fun. Felipe Leans, maybe, if you're feeling froggy. Vitor Petrino already has a fight booked. Brendan Sintabero. I know he's fighting at Macau, I think, but you could do a fight like that. You can get Ibo Aslan some fun fights. We move to Jeff Neal versus Rafael dos Anjos. Another quick fight. This one ended with an injury, though. Jeff Neal knocked down Rafael dos Anjos with like the first clean punch he landed on Rafael's temple. He landed some decent ground and pound. He let Rafael get back up. And then Rafael, right as he got back up, Jeff Neal didn't even hit him. And Rafael's knee like exploded. So, yeah. Very sucky situation for Rafael. It was his birthday, dude. He blew his ACL out on his birthday. That's gotta suck. But Jeff Neal won. Like a lot of people thought he would. I don't even know why this fight needed to happen, to be honest. I don't get it. I personally don't get why this fight needed to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think it needed to. Because it didn't. It didn't need to happen. But Rafael, good for him for stepping up. He landed like 4 punches, dude. I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, but Jeff Neal fucking dropped him bad. Let him get back up, and then Rafael he blew his ACL. I don't know what you want me to say. We move to Mateusz Rąbecki versus Muktabek Orai. What a fucking fight this was. What a war. And what a win for Mateusz Rąbecki. What a fucking win. Mateusz won the first round on damage. Muktabek was landing some shots, but you could tell the better shots were from Mateusz Rąbecki. Round 2, where it gets wild. Round 2 is Muktabek Orai's round. He gets a takedown, he lands more shots, he lands the better shots, he splits open Mateusz Rąbecki, and he starts to land some decent shots. Round 3 is where it gets rough. Round 3, at like a minute into the round, Mateusz Rąbecki drops Muktabek Orai. I don't know how Muktabek was alive, if I'm being honest. The aftershocks he landed were probably more brutal than the knockdown punch itself. He was bouncing Muktabek's head. Muktabek got back up. He got back up, and he ended up taking down Mateusz Rąbecki, and then started landing ground and pound of his own. There was blood everywhere. It was literally cascading the fucking arena. If you were in the front row, you're in the splash zone, bud. But then Muktabek, he gets up, they get back up, and Mateusz starts taking him down. But then Muktabek reverses him a couple of times, and he ends up getting back positions, and Mateusz gassed himself out. He fucking threw too much in the third round. Muktabek started piecing him up at the end of the round. But I think there was too much damage to give the round to Muktabek Orai. It was pretty clear as day, 29-28, Mateusz Rąbecki. Great bounce back win for the Polish native, Mateusz Rąbecki, after that disgusting performance against Carlos Diego Ferreira. I'm joking, but Muktabek can't win them all, dude. Can't win them all if you're Muktabek Orai. Very good win. Very good fight, though, for him. He showed his toughness, showed his grittiness. He's a gritty guy. Can't wait to see him fight again. Muktabek Orai, you're the lad. If he would have won this fight, that would have been a great day. I mean, it's still a great first year for a UFC fighter. I mean, he beat the shit out of Earl Smedic, had a crazy fight with Elvis Brenner, had this fucking fight with Mateusz Rebecki. I think Muktabek's probably up like 100K in bonuses, because I think he got a performance bonus against Earl Smedic. He might have gotten a fight of the night with Elvis Brenner, too. Maybe. I don't know. Very good win, though. Very good win for Mateusz Rebecki. Happy to see him win. We love tiny Polish power. We move to Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. Ah, man, I forgot about this one. This one made me mad. This fight was weird. Abus won the first round off of just like Bruno not literally throwing anything. Bruno threw like 10 punches and landed maybe 2. Abus was stalking him down. Sorry. Abus was stalking him down, landing some decent shots. Bruno was significantly smaller than him. Round 2 starts to heat up. Abus starts to take him down. But then Bruno starts to land big power shots at Abus and starts to rock him pretty bad. I think he almost dropped him. He hit him, and then Abus kind of like crumbled a little bit, but then he got a takedown. Bruno was looking for a spinning back fist the entire fight. I was so mad. Round 3 is playing out exactly how the second round was. Abus was going for takedowns, but Bruno was landing the better shots on the feet. Bruno rocks Abus again. He goes for a spinning back fist, ends up giving up his back, getting into a dominant position, does Abus, and he ends up getting an arm triangle sub, tapping out Bruno Ferreira. I am so mad. I'm not mad, but I'm so sad that Bruno Ferreira lost this fight, because it kind of, I don't want to be mean, but he did kind of throw away the fight. I love Bruno Ferreira. I saw him live in person at Louisville, but man, that was a pretty low IQ moment. Good one from Abus Magomedov. Good. He's on a win streak now. That's 2 in a row. Warley Alves, now Bruno Ferreira. He finished Bruno Ferreira. That's a great win. Again, we saw the holes in Abus's game that I said. This fucking gas tank is shit. Bruno's going to bounce back, though. He'll be good. He'll be fine. We love Bruno Ferreira around here. We move to Kennedy and Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett injured himself throwing a spinning hook kick. Kennedy was much bigger than him. He was teeping him to the body a bunch. Chris Barnett literally landed almost nothing. Kennedy looked pretty solid, but Chris Barnett did injure himself. I think it was his Achilles or his knee or something, because he came back 3 months after an Achilles surgery. Don't do that, by the way, guys. If you ever injure your Achilles, don't come back that fast. But Kennedy looked good against an opponent that was significantly undersized, fat, gross. We love Chris Barnett, but it's true. And not very good. So Kennedy, good win for him. We move to Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Beat that weight bully, Farid. Beat that fucking weight bully. Farid Basharat won the first round off of just damage. He outstruck he outstruck Victor Hugo pretty easily. His striking looked pretty solid. He was very fast. Victor Hugo was slower than him, like I said he would, because he is kind of slow at bantamweight. I can't even imagine what he looked like with more weight put on. Farid looked good. Round 2, very close round, honestly. I thought you could lean towards Victor Hugo, if I'm being honest. Very close round. Farid did land some stuff, but Victor did get a takedown. He picked him up and slammed him. Farid rallied in the third round, though, after a close round, and Victor Hugo was so tired he couldn't do anything. Farid grounded him a couple of times and then just stayed in full mount. Not full mount, full guard. Kind of advanced to half guard at moments and just started to land some ground and pound. Victor couldn't really do much in the third round because he was so tired because he missed weight by 9.5 pounds. I'm not going to forget this, Victor. I'm not going to forget this, bud. You're cooked, buddy. You're cooked. Great win from Farid Basharat. Good win. Looked solid. Definitely the better Basharat brother. I think people need to realize that Farid is better than Javid. But great win for him. Victor Hugo, I honestly thought this fight was going to be a bit more competitive than it was, because Victor Hugo is kind of good. He's a bit of an older guy, but his record is very solid. He's a huge veteran. He's got the same record as a guy like fucking Diego Lopez somehow. But good win for him. We move to Ismail Nardia versus Bruno Silva. Great win from Ismail Nardia. Looked really fucking good against Bruno Silva, who, again, just looks like an absolute shell of himself after that Alex Pereira fight. I don't know what happened to this dude. I don't know what's up with Bruno Silva nowadays. He looks like absolute shit. He looked terrible. But Ismail Nardia, I have to give him credit. He is the reason why Bruno Silva looked so bad. He looked really fucking good. In his debut back into the UFC, he outstruck Bruno Silva in the first round, clearly. Got a takedown. Rounds 2 and 3, he outstruck Bruno Silva. In the third round, he outstruck him 4-1. In the second round, he outstruck him like 2.5-1. And he was going for takedowns. He was clinching Bruno Silva, gassing him out, making him even slower, wearing on Bruno Silva. He fought how a bigger guy should against a smaller guy, but he did it as a smaller guy against a bigger guy. You could clearly see the weight difference on both of these guys, because Ismail, if you don't know, was coming up from welterweight. But man, he looked really fucking good against Bruno Silva. I'm very happy for him. Good to see him back in the UFC. He's another guy at middleweight who, you know, he's going to start building up. Maybe you do Ismail Nardia versus Shara Bullet. I forgot about that. You could do that next for both guys. Because Ismail actually looked pretty good, and he will use his grappling against Shara Bullet. So we got that to look forward to. Ismail, another guy at middleweight that we can watch out for. Bruno Silva, honestly, should get cut. He's 1-6 in his last 7, I want to say, with finishes in 5 of those losses, or 4 of those losses. No bueno, man. No bueno. Get him out of here. We move to Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. I forgot that this fight. Oh, my God. I am a huge Rinat Fakhretdinov fan. I mess with him. Rinat's one of the boys on here. But if you think he won that fight, I'm sorry, you're crazy. Rinat Fakhretdinov has a case for 1 round, and it was the first round. And even then in that round, he got outstruck 2-1. Rounds 2 and 3, round 3 was closer because Carlos started to slow down a little bit, and Rinat started to land some stuff. So maybe there is an argument. Maybe. But the first round, is that really even Rinat's? Like, is it really? Rinat looked like poop. I'll be honest. Rinat did not look good in this fight. Carlos Leal actually looked pretty solid. But he is on steroids. I have to say that. Carlos Leal is on steroids. I don't care. His acne is terrible. His muscles, he's very, like, just big. He's wide. He has acne down to his ass crack. This dude on steroids. But this was a bad decision. 30-27 is just a bad decision for Rinat Fakhretdinov. It just is. It just is. Rinat, he couldn't take him down. He slowed down himself. Carlos Leal was landing some big shots. He was beating up the lead leg of Rinat so bad. I can't even believe that he won this fight. It was gross. But he did. Rinat Fakhretdinov, what a fall off this guy's had. And the thing is, it's not even like he's losing. He's won 2 of his last 3. The draw with Eliezer Zaleski dos Santos was like, well, that's not good. He arguably lost to Nicholas Dalby. That's an arguable loss. And he arguably lost to Carlos Leal, who took it on short notice. This guy beat the shit out of Kevin Lee. He beat the shit out of Brian Battle. He fucked up Andreas Michailidis. He fucked up Brian Battle, for that matter. Dude, he beat the shit out of Brian. I guess it doesn't matter. We're not Fakhretdinov. We are done with the recap. UFC 308 was as good as advertised. Probably one of the best cards of the year. I mean, the main event, co-main event, the main card, just beautiful. The main event, gorgeous for as long as it lasted. Ilia Topuria cements himself as a superstar. Max Holloway looks like he's going to move up to 155 regarding his post-fight presser. Khamzat Chimaev, man, what in the fuck are we going to do with this guy? UFC 308, what a fucking night of fights this was. Yeah. I don't know. I'll try and get a video out for you guys this week regarding something. I don't know. I'll think about something. But this week, we are heading to Edmonton, Canada with Moreno and Albazi. Should be a little fun fight night card in a crowded event. It's got some fun fights on there. some solid ones. It is in Canada, so, should be fun. Derek Lewis is on there. Aaron Blanchfield, Rose Namajunas, Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi. Should be fun. But, yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.